Hello, this is Zahirul. Welcome you all on Frankly Speaking. My guest today is WaterAid Chief Executive Team Wain Wright, who has arrived on a week-long visit to Bangladesh. This is his first visit to Bangladesh after assuming his responsibility as the Chief Executive of WaterAid in 2017. He will discuss here ways and means of future collaboration between Bangladesh and the WaterAid in mutual interest of advancing safe water, sanitation and hygiene for everyone in Bangladesh by 2030. Wain Wright and his visiting team will see WaterAid Bangladesh's different projects, fecal sludge management plan, public toilet facilities in Dhaka city, safe drinking water dispensing systems at the railway stations across the country, and especially wash projects at the poverty-stricken urban and rural communities. We'll discuss about the projects and activities of WaterAid in Bangladesh and share. I would love to hear about his global thoughts on the actions of WaterAid. We welcome Team Wain Wright on Frankly Speaking.
Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's an honor having you on the show. Perhaps this is not your first visit. The first visit as Chief Executive of WaterAid, but previously you visited the top officials of ADD.
Yes, my last job I was the Chief Executive of ADD, which has also worked in Bangladesh for a long time. So
exactly.
I've had the privilege of visiting
so
Bangladesh a
is
few
not
times.
new.
Not new, no.
No. You know the progress we have made over the decades and the challenges we are facing.
Indeed.
So especially right now as Chief Executive of WaterAid, you have been dealing with water, sanitation and hygiene especially, which is a very critical problem in Bangladesh as a country of 160 million people. So as Chief Executive, what are the great priorities you are underpinning in your particular in this visit?
Well, in this visit, we're very interested in learning from Bangladesh, because Bangladesh is a country where a great deal of progress has been made in certain areas. Yeah. So, for instance, Bangladesh is famous for having made a huge change in open defecation, which last year in the official statistics was reported at 0%, having been much, much higher. And that's happened in a generation, and it's really difficult to make a shift like that. I think Bangladesh is a world leader in this area, and so many other countries have something to learn from this experience.
So apart from, I mean, if you take into account the development of the progress in open defecation, is that Bangladesh itself made progress, or international community has also supported Bangladesh to achieve this?
I think this came about with many people working together. So it was the government, it was the communities, it was international partners working together. And I think more generally, I think that if we look at the challenges that face not just Bangladesh but many countries around the world in water, sanitation and hygiene, it is collaboration between the public sector, the private sector and civil society that is key to making positive change happen.
The degree of collaborations and the degree of or level of partnership with the international community, is that remarkable?
I think the international community is a catalyst, and we at WaterAid would see ourselves. We do some work directly, but we are most interested in helping and collaborating so that governments, national governments and the private sector and citizens can work together to reach everybody in the country. We alone will, it's not right for us to be doing that, but we have done some direct work in Bangladesh very successfully, but we do this to stimulate more to happen.
Yeah. So, not denying that the progress have been made, but also there are so many challenges ahead, particularly if you generally look at the problems, look at the issues which we are talking about right now, water, sanitation, hygiene. What are the main barriers in terms of, I mean, pushing forward these issues? Is that only funding or lack of understanding or policy? What are the issues more critically important for you?
I have to admit, globally, I am really worried because water, sanitation and hygiene, it's like a foundation. if you don't have water, sanitation and hygiene, then the people become unhealthy, diarrheal diseases will kill children, will have bad health implications for everybody, it will keep girls out of school, it will hold back human development. And at the moment, across the world, although a lot of progress has been made on providing water to people, so the number of people without water, it used to be 1 in 5 people in the world, now it is 1 in 10, and that's happened in 15 years. So progress has been made on water. On sanitation, the number of people without a toilet in the world, it's 2.3 billion. In some countries, the number of people without toilets is going up. There are more mobile phones in the world than there are toilets. And mobile phones are very useful, but toilets are really important, really basic.
But, I mean, that is the prevailing situation in Bangladesh also. The mobile penetration is too high in Bangladesh.
I'm not saying there are too many mobile phones. I just think there should be more toilets and more water and more hygiene, more basic things like washing your hands has a huge impact on well-being, health and well-being for the whole population.
But what kind of approach or what kind of actions most critically important for pressing home this expectation?
Well, I mean, I said before about collaboration. Collaboration is very important, a joined-up approach. If you look back in history, you look at a country like South Korea, for instance. Yeah. South Korea in 1960, it was poorer than Libya and Ghana. It had very low GDP. And it made a big effort on water, sanitation and hygiene. And it achieved huge progress in this area before it achieved its economic growth. And that was because it had high-level political leadership, it had the government, it had international actors, it had civil society, private sector, all working together. So I think we feel that it's that kind of collaboration that will bring things forward, and political leadership is very important. So I think that across the world we need many political leaders to stand up and say we've got to get these foundations in place. If we don't build these foundations, the wall will fall down.
We know that WaterAid organization works with local partners to help communities make toilets and taps accessible to all, and use its experience and research to influence decision makers to do more to provide these, I mean, vital services. These are all known to us, but what kind of response, what kind of reciprocation you are receiving from the other end?
We have very good relationship with the government here in Bangladesh, and that's not just at the national level, it's also at the local level. So for instance, working with mayors in cities or smaller municipalities. And actually, some of the work going on in this country is world leading. You know, some of the work on fecal sludge management, for instance. This is a global problem, and there's some very innovative approaches yielding very interesting results.
You have a one in Tangal, right?
Exactly, yes. I'll be visiting it later this week. So that's something that it's possible that we can make breakthroughs here which other countries can learn from, not just in Asia, but also in Africa as well.
Team, we know you were to serve the vulnerable people. I mean, if you measure your degree of success or degree of progress or achievement, how would you gauge that? Is that remarkable for you?
I think we're successful in this area, but I think there is also a lot further to go. So here in Bangladesh, we focus the work principally in the poorest areas. We target particular groups, such as disabled people, people living in remote areas, and so on. But I think across the world, we know that the very poorest people are often the people who lack water, sanitation and hygiene.
That's a global challenge.
That's a global challenge. It's a challenge here in Bangladesh. It's no different to many other countries.
And global community is scheduled to meet in July.
Indeed.
To discuss.
Yes. There are some global goals for human development that came into being in 2015. Bangladesh contributed to this process, has committed to this process. And there is a meeting happening later this year to review progress against the 6th goal, which is focused on water.
Okay.
I think this is a very important meeting. It's an opportunity for countries like Bangladesh.
How do you find the commitment of Bangladesh?
Very good. In fact, I met with the Bangladesh team in New York only a few weeks ago to discuss this, and they're very interested in this meeting. And of course, Bangladesh also plays a role as being the chair of the group of least developed countries, the LDC group it's called. So it has a dual role in this meeting, and I very much hope that the Bangladeshi government will be speaking and sharing its successes and its challenges and its plans for the future.
As you said that you are working as a catalyst, have you been able to motivate, have you been able to inspire or make other partners to take new initiative for serving in these fields, like ensuring clean water or safe drinking water, or making toilets, or ensuring sanitation for the people at different strata?
I think there are many examples of this. Just this afternoon, I was visiting a very poor area within Dhaka city, where we are today, and it was really interesting. We went to visit, first of all, a community where no work had happened, and we looked at the toilets that were provided there, and they were very, very basic, and I think it was obvious there was a high risk of health hazards and so on. And then we visited an area where the work had carried out, and there was a very strong community-led commitment to making sure that these public toilets were very good quality and were used by the whole community. And I think and this approach is spreading, the government is involved and is supportive. So I think this gave me great hope that these challenges can be overcome. By
How do you see the hygiene education in Bangladesh?
I think this again is hygiene actually is something that globally WaterAid has put at the very highest of our priorities. And the reason that we've done that is across the world it's hygiene that is the furthest behind. So I think for Bangladesh and for many other countries this is a key priority. And it's basic things like hand washing, food preparation, drinking clean water that has a really big impact on people's health status. So
as chief executive, definitely you have set some goals, some priorities to achieve in your tenure. If you take into account the case of Bangladesh, I mean generally, yes, we have SDGs, number 6 goals. International community is going to meet and discuss how to, how to achieve those goals. But if you, in particular, look at your own priorities, what you would like to achieve during your tenure as chief executive?
I would like to see a step change in the amount of attention paid to water, sanitation, hygiene, not just in Bangladesh, in many, many countries around the world. I think, as I said earlier, having more mobile phones than toilets in the world it's all wrong. You know, we need to get the basics right as well. Mobile phones are great. I have one in my pocket. You do too, yeah? But we both have a toilet as well. We want that to be true for everyone in the world. And because if we don't do this, diseases like cholera will remain. You know, in the country I come from, I live in the UK and I grew up in London. So it was in London 150 years ago that we discovered the reason that cholera was caused. It's caused by dirty water. The people are infected by cholera, they're taking water from a well, and the local community is affected. Cholera is still coming back in many countries around the world. In fact, it's on the increase. And with global warming, with climate change, and rising sea levels, it's a bigger issue for the world. We need to take action to make sure that something like cholera is history, you know. And the solution lies in water, sanitation and hygiene.
Do you deal with arsenic problem?
Indeed, yes, yes. We need to take action on. That's a more particular problem in particular localities around the world, including sometimes here in Bangladesh. Again, that's another issue. Yeah, there are many problems in the world that result from not having clean water, sanitation, and hygiene. It's a simple thing, but it's basic. Everybody needs this.
Initiated by the Water Aid in Dhaka. So, in particular, in the capital city, you're going to, or you have already visited some of the areas and
Sure.
and see some toilet facilities which have been funded by the Water Aid. Any other any other programs to spread these facilities in other cities apart from the capital?
Absolutely, yeah, and we're very encouraged because we're already working in other cities outside of the capital, and we're getting very good, because we have a very good relationship and very good collaboration with the local government. They are starting to pick this up. But by getting some income from the toilets as well, by electronic displays and so on, it means that it is commercially viable. This is water, sanitation and hygiene. It's not a super expensive thing to do, but if you don't do it, it's very expensive because people get sick. Children are malnourished, girls don't go to school, and this holds back a country's progress. So it's a real basic thing.
But why the investment and fund is so meager, so small, so limited?
I think that
even from the government side,
every government in the world needs to prioritize this. Every government in the world needs
why
to
they
make
fail
sure
to understand why they do not prioritize this critically important issue?
I don't know. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because we've known about it for a long time. It's not new. It's not.
In 2018, when you still talk about the open sky defecation, that's a shame.
Indeed, and in some countries around the world, it's very high still. So Bangladesh is a country that has tackled this issue very successfully. Yeah, I agree with you. You should be working for Water Aid.
Exactly. Another thing is the girls' hygiene is also a very important issue.
Yes.
I mean, the hygiene is generally important, no denying to that.
Yes.
But girls' hygiene is also a very important issue when you talk about it's a shame and stigma when they deal with their periods. And still they are lacking sort of facilities, sort of support.
Yes.
In terms of maintaining themselves.
Yes, it's very important, I think, that in schools there is adequate hygiene facilities for boys as well, but for girls especially, because we know that, indeed, in the community I met this afternoon, they were telling me that because they have good toilet facilities, washing facilities in the school, the girls are going to school now. And so before they were missing quite a lot of school every month. So this is, yes, another example of why it's important. Also in health facilities, it's very important that in health facilities, the medical staff are washing their hands in between examinations. And across the world, the percentage of health facilities that lack water, sanitation and hygiene is still shockingly high. So in these type of public institutions, public toilets, in schools, in health situations, we're also in this country looking at railway stations, for instance. It's very important where there are many people, we need to provide
You have some
these
projects
facilities.
in the railway stations.
Indeed, yes, yes.
Across the country.
Certainly in some places.
In certain places. Yes. You're going to visit Tangail also to see the fecal sludge management.
Yes, yes.
So is there any possibility of replicating that projects?
Well, I hope so. I mean, this is a big problem for the whole world. What to do with fecal sludge. So with water, communities around the world are starting to pay smaller, affordable amount of money in order to get drinking water because it is valued. But fecal sludge, it is not an attractive proposition, but there is a big problem with dealing with fecal sludge, especially in big cities and smaller cities, in urban settings. So here in Bangladesh, very innovative work is going on. So I am really, that's one of the reasons I came, is to see this work and look at ways in which it can be replicated, be copied, made more, both here but also in other countries in the world.
We have discussed, and we are definitely looking at the progress being made on the SDG front. But what are the global strategies from the water aid to deal with these critically important issues globally?
I think globally we would like to see more attention paid to the issue. It's so foundational. If you do not have water, sanitation and hygiene, other development won't happen. All these global goals, they all depend on water, sanitation and hygiene. So we would like to see a higher level of political will, and also the goals are for 2030, but we need to see stepping stones on the way to that goal. So for instance, the goals say everyone should have a toilet. Well, a good stepping stone is to ensure that everybody at least has a public toilet that they can get to. And we should aim to achieve that sooner.
When you see good degree of political goodwill to achieve that, or you see dearth of goodwill from the political leadership
around the world, not enough. It's a crisis.
What's your message?
My message is, I think that political leaders around the world need to pay more attention to this fundamental issue, because if they do not, other goals will not be achieved.
But the organizations involved have been able to adequately pursue this issue to motivate the global leaders, the political leaders?
Not enough. We need help, and it is fantastic that you yourself are featuring this in the media. I think we need the support of others to highlight the fact that without water, sanitation and hygiene, the whole of human development will be held back.
Always stand by you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, my pleasure. Dear viewers, that was my conversation with Team Wain Wright, Chief Executive of WaterAid. Thank you for watching this show. We invite you to watch our next episode. Until then, take care and goodbye.